Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and one of the most common things that happens to me when I go to these conferences is people come up and they give me, they might give me a gift card or something in this, and then they'll ask me if I'll give them a title. Well, this guy walks up to me. He owns Hash House A Go-Go, which is a brunch restaurant, and they have several locations. In fact, let me show you. I wanted to show you this. He's got locations, look at San Diego, Las Vegas. I think he's got more than one in Las Vegas, but he's all over the place, down in Orlando, Winter Garden, Florida. So anyway, he comes up to me and he gave me a gift certificate and he asked me to go have breakfast at his, or brunch at his restaurant. And, but I was leaving the next day. And so, I wasn't going to be in a position to go do it. And so my dad, who is the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, was there. And so I gave him the gift certificate. And then we were able to find the guy again at the after party. And I told him my dad was going to go have the breakfast. And I told my dad to go take pictures. Well, anyway, I called my dad the next day. My dad says, we were going to go to breakfast there. And there was a line of people trying to get out of the MGM Grand because they were all leaving. And there's a taxi line like a mile long. Then if you do get a taxi, it was going to cost, I think he said it was going to cost like, $80 by the time they got there to have breakfast. Anyway, it didn't work out. But I did want to give this guy a shout out and tell you all, go check out his restaurant. It's Hash House A Go-Go. That's hashhouseagogo.com. I'm not being paid to tell you this. I'm just telling you, this restaurant actually is the official brunch restaurant of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And they're not a sponsor. It's just the official brunch restaurant of the Digital Asset Investor channel. I've got a whole stack of these type of things, and I'm going to go through them over the course of the next week and talk about some of the people that I met. Check this out, Dark Defender. Engines ready for XRP. Getting back into the triangle. Road to $1.88. I'd like to see $1.88. I bet many out there would. And then here's Anthony Pompliano. He has been given the, as they do, CNBC threw up the alley-oop so that Anthony Pompliano, who is, quote, ex-military intelligence, promoting more Bitcoin.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. It's been a couple weeks now since Bitcoin's halving, and the price action of the cryptocurrency has been, well, volatile is maybe the word. For more on that in the equity markets, I want to bring in Anthony Pompliano. He's the founder of Pomp Investments. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So the halving happened. It's been volatile. I mean, I don't know if we can put the price up on the screen right now, but there was a period of time. What was the lowest it came down to at one point?
57.
57. It's moved back, but it hasn't moved back, obviously, to the heights. What do you make of what's happening here?
Yeah, I think that the halving price action is exactly what we should have expected. Historically, it runs up about 19% in the month before, and then it only goes up about 1-2% in the month after the halving. So we're kind of seeing about that. Okay. Last week, I think that Bitcoin sold off because people were realizing, wait, maybe the U.S. economy isn't as good as we thought it was. Maybe we're actually not going to get all of these rate cuts. If you look at prediction markets, we've seen they were pricing in 5 rate cuts. Now we're down to 1. And so if we're not going to get those rate cuts, is that bad for assets that trade, in a risk environment? And so when we see that, though, all of a sudden we've retraced the entire sell-off. Right. We're right back. And one of the most interesting data points is that GBTC, the world's largest Bitcoin fund, saw 78 straight days of outflows once these ETFs got approved. Mm-hmm. On Friday, it had the first day of inflows, about $63 million. And so that doesn't mean that all of the selling is gone, but for 78 straight days, people were taking money out of that fund. And on Friday, they decided to start putting it back. We see the price rally.
So what do you think that says about the overall scheme with Bitcoin and, more importantly, the ETF world?
Yeah, so whenever you see the ETFs get approved, right, I think everyone was like, oh, these institutions are just waiting to pour capital in. it takes time. They've got to go to their investment committees. They've got to talk to their clients. They've got to go through their processes. And, fortunately or unfortunately, some of them are bureaucratic and it's going to take some time. And so now we're starting to see these flows that are persistent that I think people are really excited about. Another data point that's really important is that Bitcoin, although it is volatile day to day, the 200-day moving average just hit an all-time high. It just crossed over $50,000 for the first time.
Okay, so the Operation Bitcoin continues, folks, and I'll just show you more on that here in a little bit. Here's Ron Hammond, who I believe he used to work for Ripple. He's a lobbyist in DC. Listen to this.
Where would it be good for the crypto?
By the way, if while you're watching these videos or watching my videos, you're hearing this and it's kind of driving you crazy, this is my new Zippo. And this is the fault of Johnny from England. He actually had this made, and it really is playing right into my nervous habit.
As a whole, where would that fine have to land to say, okay, that's a good win for crypto in general?
But I personally am not a legal expert here, so I won't pontificate on like what the penalty should or shouldn't be. But at the same time, the industry's playing offense, and I think that's good to have. And Ripple, to their credit, was the first one to play offense and fight the SEC and show that it's possible. But it's crazy how much money that these companies have to spend to defend themselves. And again, if Ripple does get a fine or not, but the amount of money, and again, we're talking in the tens of millions, hundreds of millions sometimes to defend themselves. That's what it takes to operate in the United States, and that's a really sad reality. And I think that if Capitol Hill understood that a little more, I think it'd be at least a wake up call to do something here, because the only folks getting a lot of money out of this is the lawyers, and we have some really great ones. But at the same time, it's crazy how that's the cost of doing business. It's just how much legal battles you're going to fight here, whether justified or not, at the SEC.
All righty, and then today, old Gary is not stopping. Breaking: Robinhood receives Wells notice from the SEC. Follows prior disclosure of an SEC investigation into Robinhood's cryptocurrency listings, custody practices, and platform operations. Now, just when you think, or we never thought, that all these government guys are smart, this is Jared Bernstein. He's the chair of, and this is so uncomfortable to watch, I almost don't want to show you the whole thing. He's the chair of the Council of Economic Advisors under President Joseph Biden. Listen to this.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing it?
Man, I feel dumber after watching this clip.
Currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do?
So let me translate. He doesn't know what in the hell he's talking about, but how could he? Here's his education. He's from a music family, graduated with a bachelor's degree in music from Manhattan School of Music. Then he got a master's in social work. And he's an American economist who's the chair of the United States Council of Economic Advisors, and he obviously couldn't even balance my checkbook. What has happened to our country? Here's Reese Merrick from Ripple.
At Swell last in November, we were able to announce that HSBC, who are the large bullion provider globally, one of the largest bullion providers globally, are tokenizing gold, right? And they're utilizing our custody solution to do so. So, HSBC,
that one.
Pardon, sorry?
The Luxembourg.
Exactly. So we acquired Metaco, great enterprise grade custody solution, working with top financial institutions, and from our perspective, it's been a win-win, both taking those customers forward, expanding the business, and being able to drive new business there.
Okay, let's see what else I've got now. Ooh, let me see where I am on time. I wanted to show you this. All right, the kid was back on CNBC, and I was watching this, and I immediately, of course, noticed the hoodie, because there's no question in my mind this guy's a psyop. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of one of the Iron Man movies, and I don't remember which one, but in that movie, there was a terrorist, and it was like a wag the dog thing where this guy was literally, he ended up being just like a movie actor, and they had dressed him up to make him look like a terrorist, and they had a whole production where this guy was supposed to be this Osama bin Laden type figure. And by the way, because we live in the United States of what in the hell's going on, just the fact that I just said the name I just said, this video could be dinged, because that's the world we live in now on YouTube. We'll see. Now, but this right here, I would bet you, I'll bet dimes to donuts, I'll put it that way, that there's literally a CNBC. I wouldn't be surprised if this right here was actually a movie set, because he videos himself in front of the, I'll bet you dimes to donuts that there's a PR firm involved in this, and they put a hoodie on this guy, and there's probably actually a makeup person that dresses him up before these videos. I'll bet you money that's literally like a movie set, and I'll bet CNBC's involved in it. I would put, that is not that guy's house. I would bet it. I know these people. And my question's this, though. Why does nobody ever question why the government's propaganda financial network, who loves the Federal Reserve, would be promoting this kid in hoodies talking down the dollar? It's the tell. The feds want to herd everyone into Bitcoin as a Trojan horse. And I talked to Lynette Zhang backstage at XRP Las Vegas, and I said, you're right. Bitcoin's a Trojan horse, and you're not allowed to say that in crypto, but that's exactly what it is. These people love the Fed. They would not prop this guy up and the Bitcoin conversation up the way they are unless it's part of the government plan. And history is going to prove me right, folks. I don't know how we're going to find out. Now, this girl right here, let's give her some serious credit. Jennifer Arcuri, Jennifer, sorry if I'm butchering your last name. I'm sure we'll find out when I hit play. But anyway, she is 1,000% over the target right here. And Lynette Zhang, I actually said it right here inside baseball. Got to meet Lynette Zhang, who's great backstage at XRP Las Vegas. I told her I agreed Bitcoin was a Trojan horse. She knows. And so does Jennifer.
You have very strong opinions about Bitcoin in particular, do you not? Can you illustrate to me why that is so?
Well, first of all, I love that you're having this conversation. It's really great to see it take mainstream television. It is important. I know a lot of people are concerned about their money, and I think basically it comes back to a very basic fundamental of the life cycles of currencies. And as we're seeing now, this life cycle is coming to an end, this currency. And as history has shown us many years before, we'll always reset back to gold. It will never be Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not scalable. Bitcoin cannot take on the traffic and this whole idea that it's some, value, store of value or digital gold. I know there's a lot of Bitcoin maxis out there that will hate me for saying this, but that just simply is not true. There is no intrinsic value of Bitcoin. I'm a very pro advocate for digital assets in the crypto space. I am extremely pro blockchain, but never Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is being used as a trap, another Trojan horse. And as you and I have mentioned many times, I see them manipulating the prices of gold and silver to particularly keep the nominal price down so that banks have the ability to buy in and at these low manipulated prices. And then as you've seen the years of the narrative shift on Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a beta. Bitcoin was introduced after the last you know,
there's a lot of truth being told here.
2008 crash. So then we bring in this exercise of digital currency. And at first it was the drug users and the cartel, and now they're picking it up and bringing it into mainstream. And a lot of people bought into the concept that it was outside the system. Neil, you and I know that's just simply not true. It's completely inside the system. When they created a Bitcoin ETF, they created an ability to short the market. They now are controlling the system.
Jennifer, can you explain?
So there's many myths around Bitcoin.
Ha ha, go Jennifer, go. Check this out. I got my hot little hands on this little audio clip. This was from a radio show in, I don't know where, I think it was in Boston, with this guy who Senator Warren has planted to run against John Deaton. Listen to what he said on the radio show. You don't have to take my word for whether the guy's a plant or not.
Well, here, let me ask you a question. Depending upon how this race turns out, and I assume that the primary is in September, I'm going to ask John Deaton the same question. He's the only other candidate that I know of. Have you guys both committed to support one another? Only one of you will get the nomination. Have both of you agreed that each of you will support?
Why would he do that? He's going to support Elizabeth Warren as soon as he can help get John Deaton out of the race.
Irrespective of who gets the nomination.
That commitment has not been made.
Okay, are you willing?
The commitment.
That commitment.
That's to be discussed.
Why would you not support?
Well, I can't. Let me translate. I can't make that commitment because as soon as I can help get John Deaton out of the race, Senator Warren has made me certain promises, and then I'll just throw my weight behind her, and the party will continue to roll on for we Democrats.
Your opponent, and I'd ask Deaton the same question. I mean,
yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I don't know him just as much as he doesn't know me, right? Yeah. I mean,
okay.
This is the person that just moved to Massachusetts in January to run for the role.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. Massachusetts, Quincy's my home. You know, proven, demonstrated commitment to community and to public service. So, you know, I don't know what longevity of that person looks like.
All right.
Okay, now check this out. I'm going to go in DAIXRP.com. I'm going to give you some more XRP Las Vegas behind the scenes conversations that I had, conversations I heard, that kind of stuff. And we're going to start with an interesting one right out of the gate. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that away we go.